Was it deliberate? You guys are all wearing these colors. You guys communicated.
Oh, yeah, he's my son, so sometimes there's some kind
you
of
keep
connection.
using this one is my daughter's son, but those guys are adults. Eh? Some of these comments.
Oh, look at his face.
How are you?
He looks like an adult.
Yes. Yes, he does.
He's an adult. Aren't you 18 and above?
13.
You're 13.
This is child labor then.
Yes. Do you know that in your bid to evade
the show embraces young people.
Young people. So now you've turned the show into.
No, I'm a representation of the young ones. So I mean.
So Kojo is what?
Kojo,
50.
not the old,
not the young,
the mid,
the medium,
and I am.
Oh, when you need.
Watching me when you were.
I've told you many times.
Primary school.
I've told you many times.
Well, good morning to y'all. If you've just, tuned in, we welcome you to the AM show. We're on to the newspapers, but I can happily announce that today you can send us WhatsApp messages and text messages. Send us WhatsApp messages and text messages today. Let's do the newspapers now. Where shall we begin? Roland.
It's a big problem. We're told VAT will be introduced in it. If it doesn't happen this mid-year, it will happen next year.
Which
VAT will be introduced to increased.
VAT has already been introduced.
Ah, okay. Incremental.
We've been living with it for years.
What are you talking about? What has that got to do with age and being retired from the media?
I've been thinking I was done.
Are you broke?
No, it's not I've been broke, you know. I know, we don't know what we use the money for as a people, so sometimes.
People don't dash people money anymore. That's the real problem with the economy.
Back in the day,
you people don't dash people money anymore. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Let's do the newspapers, guys.
Yes, sure.
So I have that. No, you have the Daily Guide. Let's begin with the Daily Guide.
The front page, there's a story here. J.H. Mensah goes home at 89.
Wow.
Akan drama star commits suicide and Amidu begins corruption war with 9-member board. Kenpon mediates in Hajia Fatih's trial, also on the front page. I'm interested in J.H. Mensah. He has served his nation.
I'm interested in Kuntu Blanks.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've known him my whole life.
Oh, you know him personally?
Yes. He was a lab technician at the University Hospital in Cape Coast.
Yeah.
And so ever since I was a child, I saw him every time I went to the hospital. Everybody knows him.
Did he take any sample from you?
All the time.
Wow.
All the time. Wow. Yeah. That's a shock.
I don't know him, so when I saw the story,
but we know Kuntu, so you have to touch on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to locate that story.
Wow.
Is that center spread?
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Not yet.
Suicide.
Where's the story? Which page?
Okay, so it's on page 19 of the Daily Guide. It says Akan drama actor Kuntu Blankson commits suicide. A renowned and veteran Ghanaian actor Daniel Yeboah, popularly called Kuntu Blankson, has died under some bizarre circumstances. He was found hanging on a rope at the kitchen of his own residence at Brafowa in the Abra Asebu Kwamankese district. Abra Asebu Kwamankese district. Asebu Kwamankese.
Don't you live in the central region yourself?
No. I am in Zima.
But you live in the central region.
He's always lived in Accra.
Let's focus on the story. The 63-year-old actor left behind a wife and 4 children. The late Kuntu Blankson was a member of the Adeshe drama group based in the central region. So that is the story. The family revealed how shocked they were about the developments, as the deceased neither complained of any problem or showed any signs of worry. So the lifeless body has since been deposited at the morgue for autopsy.
That's sad.
Very sad story.
That's sad.
But how exactly? They found him with a rope on the neck, so they suspected that he committed suicide.
But they have to investigate.
So. I think it should be investigated regardless, like Mama B is saying. But what a sad end to the life of a person who provided so much entertainment for Ghanaians throughout the 90s. The Adeshe drama troupe was one of the later troops to join the Akan drama cycle, and we were so proud because they were from Cape Coast and we knew all of them, and every time we saw them on TV on Sunday we felt a special bond with them. Kuntu was perhaps the biggest personality in the troupe, and the stories often revolved around him. and everybody knew him. You know, at UCC Hospital, he was always wearing a white lab coat, walking up and down. We called him Mr. Yeboah to his face, and Kuntu Blankson behind
also,
it.
Kuntu wasn't his real name?
No. He was called Mr. Yeboah. Daniel Yeboah, I think it was.
We didn't know that side of him. You know, I never knew he was a lab technician.
He was such a nice person, rather calm and quiet, but he was great with kids. And every time I went for a sample to be taken, I preferred to have him do it, because he would, you know, make jokes and make me laugh, and then he would take the blood without me feeling too much pain.
Yeah, well.
And this is too sad.
Our condolences to the family.
Well, another death that we heard about yesterday was that of J.H. Mensah. I heard of J.H. Mensah the first time. I was doing some work back at the university on Nkrumah's 7-year development plan.
Okay.
He led that team that drafted that plan. So that was the first time I heard of J.H. Mensah, former finance minister. He was minority leader at a point, senior minister later on. And many have described him as the father of development economics in Ghana because of his talk about the need to have long-term plans to develop the nation.
And a while ago we were talking about a famous case that students have to study. J.H. Mensah versus Attorney General.
Yeah.
Almost every first-year law student would know about this case. Yeah.
It was really J.H. Mensah versus Rawlings, but you know, in court it was the Attorney General, wasn't it? Yeah.
He's done great things in his life. May he rest well.
Yeah.
All right, you're through?
Just touch on the center spread, Roland's favorites. Okay,
center
there's
spread,
nothing in there today.
There's nothing there.
They swept you.
Oh, I've been seeing
So let's do the Daily
Melo
Graphic
and
newspaper. Front page of the Daily Graphic this morning. J.H. Mensah passes on. That story is also in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Obviously, it's covered by all the newspapers today. Institutes corporate governance structures for organizations, a call by Dobega. You want to check out the details, is on page 45. Take over GFA assets, High Court orders Registrar General. There seemed to be some kind of confusion with this particular case in terms of how it is being reported. Joseph was in court, so we will touch on it a bit. MOU on Kumasi Northern Sector Rail Line signed. President inaugurates Special Prosecutor Board. That was yesterday, and we heard the Special Prosecutor who was surprised by a reporter or reporters, and he decided to speak up. It was a bit refreshing hearing him. Barclays, now part of the APSA family, and I received a message from Barclays. They said our parent company has changed its name from Barclays Africa Group Limited to APSA Group Limited. We will continue to operate and trade as Barclays in Ghana for now. And I want to believe essentially that's what's in the story, which is in the paper this morning. But on page 3, the Commercial Division of the Accra High Court has appointed the Registrar of Companies to take custody of the assets of the Ghana Football Association and protect them. So per an order issued by the court, presided over by Justice Samuel Esiedu in Accra yesterday, the Registrar General, Mrs. Jemima Owari, would take charge of the assets until the determination of a petition by the government to liquidate the GFA. So Mrs. Owari is therefore charged with the duty of ensuring that the assets of the GFA remain intact and are not tampered with until the petition to liquidate the GFA is determined. So Joseph, explain a bit. This is the injunction that government was seeking, but there was an earlier one.
Yes, that one was to last 10 days. They went ex parte application. In simple terms, it means that the person the injunction is against doesn't need to make an appearance in court. So that was to last for 10 days because the AG said they had realized that some FA officials had wanted to travel to Russia in the name of the FA. They wanted to stop them. So following the expiration of that 10-day one, they now made an application. This injunction is to last until the court determines whether the GFA should be liquidated or not.
Okay. Is it the same court that's handling that?
The same court. So the same court.
Same judge?
The same judge.
Okay.
So once that was granted, now the fear is that it could be the case that there are money that belongs to the GFA, cars that belong to the GFA that are in some officers' possession, and they may want to sell it off. So the court wants to take a look at it and ensure that that doesn't happen.
Okay.
So the Register of Companies is coming in to just take custody of the assets.
I have a question though. So under Kwesi Nyantakyi, the GFA was registered as a company limited by guarantee. Who owns it?
We are told that Mr. Nyantakyi is listed as a director on the registration details. There's one Isaac Addo, and there's one Mr. Menu, who is popularly known as Blue Blue, we are told, and some 2 others.
So when the court makes this ruling to protect the assets are being protected for who?
For both for the state and for the individuals involved.
Where is the state? Where does the state come in?
So the Liquidation Act, which the AG is operating under, it allows that when the AG feels that any company is being used for illegal activity, the AG can move in to liquidate that company. Because what it was registered to do is not performing that task.
In the interest of
once it is liquidated,
or the individual or the members of the
once it is liquidated,
the interest of both parties, so both those who own it and those.
So once it is liquidated, how are the funds disbursed? I mean, should the owners not basically take their money and go? If you say they can no longer operate as a business, should they not take their money and go? Where does the state come in? Are they going to take some of these assets?
I think those are issues that we know once the court, if the court is minded to grant the liquidation that they are seeking, those specifics will become known. But for now, what we have to work with is that, I mean, if you speak for the GFA, you can't speak for the GFA anymore.
But right now, in theory, these assets are being protected for the owners.
Yes.
Okay.
So in what role then the associations that make up they are the owners of the GFA?
I guess those listed as directors.
They are the owners.
Not
well, actually,
owners,
they are holding it in trust for the owners.
Because of, you see,
because I know it's an association.
Yeah.
Only they're represented by a company.
Yes.
So the directors are.
It's the FA structure is not of a shareholding nature such that profits are distributed. So you can't refer to it as owners in a strict sense.
But when you register any entity, there is supposed to be an owner, a legal.
So as directors, it's limited to, they can make nominal contributions to the association. In the event there is any liability, it will be just limited to the contributions you've made, not beyond it. Such that if you're an owner of multimedia and there are liabilities, your properties, personal properties, could come in because you own it directly.
Yeah.
So that is the bit of the difference there. But let's wait and see whether the court will grant the substantive
it will be interesting. So when is that going to be heard?
We don't know yet. The next date has not been announced.
Okay. All right. There's some sports stories on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. We're not going for revenge. Croatia coach saying that England have overcome challenges of the past and we're not favorites, says Pogba. We'll have that conversation a little after 7:30 here on the show. So your comments are definitely welcome. All right. Daily Graphic, we go to maybe the Finder?
Sure. Now, the Finder has NHIS broke. CEO seeks oil cash, increase in VAT and taxes to save the scheme. Also, current $25 per subscriber needs to go up to $100 per subscriber. Raise minimum capital for insurers to 45 million Ghana cedis. That's a story on page 10. Veteran politician J.H. Mensah has died. I think that's everywhere this morning. Office of Special Prosecutor will be resourced, according to the President. Yeah, let's see some resources for this office, please. NAIP fund disbursements to start this month, and that's Dr. Awal, Minister for Business Development, making that point. So I think we need to talk about the NHIS. The story says the National Health Insurance Authority says inadequate funding is crippling the National Health Insurance Scheme and threatens the survival of the scheme. As a result, the CEO, Dr. Samuel Ano, I know Dr. Ano, he's proposed a number of tax measures.
You know him?
Yes.
Is your friend?
Well, no, but I know him professionally.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. One of my dear loved ones is a patient of his.
Okay. Professional acquaintance.
Do I need to add more, or are you okay for now?
I'm okay.
I think we need more of the story.
Let's get back to the story then.
The story's not about the two of you the last time I checked.
Yes, but they are advocating increment in VAT. I mean, the biscuit I buy for my kids.
Oh my gosh. So the suggestions are these, okay, to increase the funding. Increase in value-added tax, the component of the VAT that goes to NHI from 2.5 to 3.5%. He's also suggesting that there is a tax levied on sugar alcohol and tobacco and used to fund the NHIS. Also, he's looking at the allocation of oil revenue into the National Health Insurance Fund to enable it become financially sustainable. Okay, so 3 suggestions here. 2.5% NHI, VAT to go up to 3.5%. So in this case, I mean, we still pay the same VAT, but we are allocating more to our health insurance, right? That's his suggestion.
Yes.
The second one is...
Yeah. So it's for the finance minister to think, well, I need to do the incremental, increase it.
Or maybe not.
And
or
increase it. Or maybe not.
Maybe he might simply take from some other place and give to NHIA without increasing VAT. Maybe. It's an option, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the other suggestion, taxing sugar, tobacco and alcohol. There's something about it that I like. I like something about that idea. Sugar, tobacco and alcohol. I mean, sugar, historically people don't tax sugar as a harmful product, but they should. You know, it causes a lot of damage.
Yes,
I'm a witness.
Having healthy.
Indeed. And I like the idea of using such a tax to actually help improve the health of people. There's something poetic about it. I'd love to hear the economic analysis and financial analysis of it.
People will not be happy about the alcohol and tobacco.
Oh, why? Yeah, naturally. But I also think that the reality is nobody who consumes alcohol is under any illusion that is good for them. So if it is taxed for that reason, I think we can all be adults about it. This final suggestion, though, that's the one that I don't know how you guys feel about it. This idea that perhaps we should allocate some of our oil revenue to health insurance. I feel like we waste so much of our oil revenue. We misallocate so much of it. We break the law when it comes to how much of it should go where. As a nation, we break our own law. You know, governments break this law constantly just so that they can get their hands on the little money that we are making from oil for, you know, whatever other purposes they desire. And I feel like even though health is so important, you know, and funding our national health insurance scheme is vital, I don't know whether we should be touching oil anymore. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's about the prudent use and the equitable distribution of the resources we have. And if anybody will have any attestation or perhaps testimony, you get to find out on the face of it, it looks like we don't judiciously expend what it is that we earn. If we can have some allocation for national health insurance scheme, and we're going to have access and proper distribution of the resources of health, and treatment is going to ultimately result in quality, then I believe that we can. Well, on the other hand, you read the report of PIAC consistently over the time. The last time I had read the half-year report and the full report of the last year, it doesn't give me any sense of comfort that those we have put to be in responsible positions to be making the decisions for us on the choices on how we expend are doing it in the interest of the ordinary person. On that level, I don't think we have to.
More worrying
ideally we should have.
Yeah, more worrying is the fact that the fund itself, the National Health Insurance Fund, has not really been managed well in the past. They brought in Kwekwajima Menu, an accountant, to be the health minister because of the NHIA.
Who told you
that?
The president. That's what he said. You remember when the president...
when he outdoored the ministers, when he had them present, he said, in fact, he made reference that the two of them, he and
so only because of national health.
The gentleman who went to the education ministry, Dr. Opoku Prempe, he said he had a difficulty in how to place each of them, but he opted for the
because naturally, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe is a medical officer.
Yeah, and in fact, he was a leading voice when he was on the health committee in Parliament. Yes, but the president said that because of the funding issues, he thinks that he's the best place to solve that problem.
I think the two deputies, the two health ministers, the deputy ministers.
The second one is an accountant. The other one is a public administration person.
So they all don't have medical background.
No.
So you can tell that the president was preoccupied with NHIA when he was making these appointments. He said so himself.
That's a good.
So yeah, I mean, you have to ask yourself, you know, almost 2 years into their administration, if we are now being told that the NHIS is broke. You have to ask, what did they try, and why did it fail? You know, and more importantly,
they tried anything at all.
Indeed, and more importantly, remember the things they said about NHIA when they were in opposition. Do you remember? I mean,
well, they said a lot of things which.
Yeah, but if in the end there is no money, no matter how you criticize the thing,
if we're supposed to be getting lots of money from judgment debts, we use resources equitably, efficiently, and then we'll get more. The Auditor General, though, is just telling us that even in the past year, we had a lot of billions of dollars of Ghana cedis in excess, and those sort of information that we tend to get, and perhaps also the posture of those put in authority not to be willing to answer some of the questions when they are posed, I don't think makes us very comfortable there.
To be honest with you, I am now very curious to find out how the president's assessments of his ministers went.
Well, beyond that, the thing is that the national health insurance has to be funded in a certain way.
Yeah,
because now utilization has increased. By end of 2016, had reached 29 million. It means utilization.
Yeah,
and I'm sure by now it's increased. I'm told that in certain parts of some regions, the health authority is not issuing new cards. They're not doing renewals of the cards. They're not giving new cards, I'm told, based on some friends of mine who had gone. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, these are the suggestions of the CEO. I would like to hear the suggestions of the
personal friend.
Yes, I would like to hear the suggestions of the minister.
All right, let's do the. You like to hear the suggestions of the minister?
I haven't heard any yet. That's why they brought him.
Are they brought there to make suggestions, by the way, or fix the problems?
Indeed,
to fix the problem. But you have to suggest it first.
Yeah, and then implement the.
Think around policy and then.
But we haven't even heard what his plan is, let alone seen his implementation of it.
Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page of the Ghanaian Times. President's Parliament paid tribute to J.H. Mensah. Over 600 BXC workers face job loss. President inaugurates 9-member board of Office of Special Prosecutor. Effort to dissolve Ghana Football Association. Court appoints liquidator for GFA. Mandate Registrar of Companies to take control of assets. Parliament approves $150 million loan facility to improve road infrastructure. Nigeria to sign African free trade agreements. Yesterday, the president made comments about the very popular Eastern Corridor roads and how he couldn't sleep at all.
Kept him awake.
People, that's like one-day experience, but imagine that's a group's daily lifestyle on that particular.
The president should be aware that people are not sleeping along that road.
No, people are never sleeping.
No, but seriously, I think that's a year and a half past the elections. We have to move on from always putting the blame at the doorstep of the parliament.
It sounded like we're going into elections.
No, me, it sounded like he was giving us a first address in Parliament when he came into office in 2017.
I agree.
And it looks as if the media is not asking the right questions, or we have refused.
No, the president is delivering a speech. Media man, what are you going to ask him?
No, he's talking about the discussions that come
because
after.
I have seen documents from the ministry to Cocoa Board for some of those relatively projects that were awarded to be funded with Cocoa Board funding to be stopped, because they have to go into them, rationalize.
They said there was no money in the first place. That's what I heard yesterday.
Yes, okay. Take a look at the contracts, whether even the quantities based on which the contracts were given were in the right order, were value for money intended. And if after a year and 7 months we've not been able to do that, we have gone on an inspection and we've seen that that is the state of the road, and we make commentary on it, then it means that for a year, 7 months, we didn't do anything. We didn't go and inspect a road that could take us only a journey of, let's say, 8 hours to go and inspect, or even 6 hours.
And I don't know whether you recall, he had mentioned that the road will be completed by 2020. But yesterday I listened to the Deputy Roads Minister on Newsnight, and he was asked a question about whether they had secured the funding, and he said they are still engaging. And my concern was that you don't have the funding yet, you are confident you complete it in 2020.
Because they were supposed to have been funded with cocoa, whatever it is. The thing is, the intention is to make sure that those along those corridors had access to good roads, so that they will have time to travel. But those who are within those communities...
I think that's a bigger problem, I don't think we've paid attention to it. When you come in, must you stop everything that was ongoing before?
Can't you continue and say that, look, this contract that was 5 million, I'm not going to give you 5 more million.
So now,
I'm giving you 3 million.
I think what will happen is we will not trust each other. So this government comes and it's like every contract that was giving out must cease.
Mama B, why are we
will spend time.
Why are we beating around the bush?
Into it again.
Why are we beating around the bush? What you're saying is absolutely right. New governments come along and start everything afresh. But it's not because of a lack of trust. Let's not try and make it noble. It's money. It is so that they can do the procurement again and make money. Because assign the contract to someone else and get some 10% on it. That's all it is. It's not because of a lack of trust. I mean, they're building, they're constructing a road. If you come along,
where we are going.
No, it can't be trust.
Seriously,
if you don't trust it, audit
seize everything. I am going to audit it and see if we got good money or whatever.
I think it's a fair assumption.
It just everything.
I think it's a fair assumption for anyone to make. I mean, because if a contract has been legitimately signed and is being executed,
why do you have to come and cancel it and offer any? Let's be clear. So they want to come and make money on it. And this is what they are doing.
This is not right.
Gosh.
You know, so we go back, we don't progress. We're either where we are or...
And then some of them end up in judgment debts, which we pay. But you see, they don't care because they've got their 10% in their pockets. And we as a nation are coughing up judgment debts so that they can send their children to school in America.
This issue about the board that's been inaugurated, the special prosecutor, I wanted to give a bit of the names of the persons who have made it to this 9-member board of Office of Special Prosecutor. So page 16. No, I mean, it's not like they even have money to start with. So the board, step by step.
First, they appoint
the board includes Martin Amidu, Special Prosecutor, Deputy Special Prosecutor Cynthia Lamte, Adai Reku Teria, representative of the Audit Service, and Mame Ya Tiwa Adodankwa, representative of the Police Service and Director of Police CID. The others are Charles Nana Entry, representative of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Kofi Boedi Boache, representative of the Financial Intelligence Center, Charles Ayamdo, representative of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Mr. Kweku Domfe, the nominee of the Minister responsible for National Security, and this name, Linda Ofori Kwafo, representative of the Anti-Corruption Civil Society Organizations. That's the one that quite a number of people are talking about it because, you know, she's been very vocal in, you know, the drive for the fight against corruption. And many are wondering where she is placed now, even though she's not there in her own capacity, but representing civil society. Will she be able to speak up? Will she be able to?
She's on the board of.
Will she be critical? Special prosecutor, office of the special prosecutor.
So if a civil society or an anti-corruption body other than, let's say, GII feels that the special prosecutor's office may not be dealing well with a certain case, can she comment on it?
But you see, I think sometimes we put too much responsibility on individuals. Linda Ofori Kwafo, whenever she speaks about corruption, is speaking for GII, not for Linda Ofori Kwafo. So now that she is on this board, GII should have other people who can still speak.
But she's executive director.
So they can't.
We know how.
So
you and I know how.
So
we give reverence.
Let me give you an example. Carries. The Deputy Minister for Energy is Dr. Amin Anta, who was the executive director of ASEP. ASEP still speaks against government when it comes to petroleum issues.
No, but he's no more in ASEP.
No, he hasn't left ASEP. He may have left that position. Okay, but he started ASEP. And Linda Ofori Kwafo is there to represent.
But he doesn't have ASEP.
So I just wanted to quickly read the functions of the board from the Office of the Special Prosecutors Act. It says the board shall formulate policies necessary for the achievement of the object of the office, ensure the proper and effective performance of the functions of the office, and advise the special prosecutor on the recruitment, selection of the secretary and other senior staff of the office, develop and monitor implementation of a code of conduct for staff of the office, facilitate cooperation between the office and relevant national investigative bodies to ensure proper and effective
they are now come to do all this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. 2018 is gone.
And you see, it tells
the money? Where's the money?
It tells you how well we think things through in this country. You appointed Amidu how many months ago? How many months ago did Amidu?
So he needed a board. He needed a board to put in.
That was back in February, right?
Amidu? Yeah. So February.
And it took about 2 months more before he got his deputy in place.
Yes.
2 months.
And then how many more months before the board? And then the money. They are now waiting for the money.
But they now need to do the recruitment now to start.
Exactly.
No, do recruitment now before you do applications.
You need money.
Or they are coming to
before you start recruiting.
But Mr. Amidu already said I think there's some kind of collaboration going on with
the
auditor.
But I get a sense, Koji and Roland, they are calling for like too much blood. Like you have to see prosecution. Like
no. Patient. We're talking about a chain of activities, of rhetorics and refrains that dominated discussions and campaigns.
Let us stop buying dictionaries for Roland on his bed.
Okay, no, but the point I'm making is that
we need to
we pass that act for ourselves. We need to take our time and
we need to synchronize what the promises were on what will be done for anti-corruption activities, and then look at the commitment, because everything depends on the commitment of the state. I'm not even talking about, let's say, a political party or government. It's the commitment of because the establishment of the special prosecutor's office is not necessarily going to be a panacea to solving corruption issues. We have Shraj. Indeed, the MPP could have said that when we come, we're going to give it prosecutorial powers.
They all have one thing in common.
Which is what?
Money.
Yeah.
Resources.
Or they can even say that we're going to give it
but there's an interesting suggestion that
powers. And say that the Auditor General, when we come, we're going to empower it to subpoena people or to do this or set up a commission.
There's an interesting suggestion that is coming up. In fact, we are told that there is a Supreme Court decision in that regard, that such anti-corruption bodies don't request for funds from the finance ministry, but they rather access from the consolidated fund directly.
And the consolidated fund is controlled by.
So you go to the controller. They don't need approval. They don't need approval.
Consolidated fund is controlled by.
The executive is still in charge, but the difference is that this time around it doesn't go to the finance minister such that so
a different member of the executive controls it.
A different member who doesn't have the powers that the executive has. In fact, they said we are told that there's a Supreme Court is in that direction.
Brown versus Attorney General.
Yes.
I heard it for the first time yesterday.
The Shraj boss is saying that they may head to court if government doesn't enforce.
But that's a Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
So what else do we need?
It's binding. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, but it's just like the other things that we have. We have many laws. We just blatantly
violate them.
Yeah.
By the way, on the Finder front page, it says Office of Special Prosecutor will be resourced, according to the president.
Yeah.
But I think we all remember that there was a provision for it in the last budget.
Yeah.
I think we all remember that. Yeah. Okay, so that money should be there. It should be sitting there.
It doesn't work like that,
But it should. Is the point? It should. You came to tell us, the people of Ghana, that you are allocating this amount of money to that. If you don't, you not? I mean, you said this in Parliament.
We have to. We have to quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
There are some two nice concern stories in the Herald.
Okay, just real quick.
Quick one. Speaker selling Parliament land for hotel. Banner headline. And Akufo-Addo's minister cast doubt over police CID report, clearing deputy sports minister. Okay, so the president said there's a CID report based on which he exonerated the deputy sports minister and has reinstated him. But apparently there is a WhatsApp platform called The Rise of Asante Achim. One of its members is the MP for Asante Achim North, who says on this platform, are we saying that those of us in Agogo do not believe that visa fraud occurred during the Australian sports event? The guys from Agogo who are living with the pastor in Australia now, are they journalists who covered the Commonwealth Games? Political expediency explains the presidential pardon. Let's drop it there. Don't invite evidence. He goes on, I think details of the committee's report should be made known to us because everyone knows that there was a visa fraud which led to the formation of the committee to investigate. If the committee has exonerated KBA and the other, fine. But then who are the real culprits? Someone then accuses him of saying the president is morally bankrupt or whatever, which means he's serving under a morally bankrupt
You know, somebody
person.
can set up a WhatsApp platform, put in all the names of Asante Achem and all that, and distribute it.
Yes, it's all possible.
We will
it's
have
all
to leave
possible.
the details for people to grab the paper
Indeed.
and do, because we don't have a lot of time now.
The thing is that
let's do a few of your messages, because people have sent us messages.
Who perpetrated that action?
Anyway, the speaker is also apparently selling Parliament land for a hotel. Parliament basically wants to own a hotel. That's what the story is. So Parliament wants to own a hotel, build it next to their the conference center, and make money from it. So Parliament will now have internally generated funds.
That's what it is.
According to this letter that was allegedly written by the Speaker of Parliament to a company that is proposing to buy some land and build a hotel on it.
Parliament has no
God knows from Japan says, if indeed GFA belongs to some individuals, why should it depend on governments of Ghana for funding? We have misplaced priorities in this country. God save. I can't say what she said afterwards, but I'm not sure what you sent is factually correct. This one says, it's good we know that NHI has collapsed by the competent government or whatsoever, but the media just sit relaxing because that's not NDC. And you ask, how is Latif? This one says,
are we?
Asking questions.
Madam, your message is a bit long. This one says, good show as usual, keep up the good work. It's a shame England didn't make it to the final of the World Cup. Better luck next time. Charlie, you are sending me this. I am reading.
I just read.
This one says, good morning to y'all. Patrick, a teacher at Asimfosu. I believe the Auditor General is beginning their pilot auditing in the Central Region in a way to clean. Not sure. It is my greatest pleasure to congratulate them. Okay, I see where you're going. Right. Thank you very much for that message. Maybe a last one. This one says, what is wrong with Parliament to own a hotel? Well, it's a question, right? So
he wants to know what is wrong with Parliament.
Very soon, the judiciary will join the bid. Emmanuel Fiagbadu, Trigu sending this message. But I think you should read the entire story in the paper, and then you will get a better understanding. This one says, the current regional youth organizer in the Bunahafo region succeeded in destroying TESCON in the region. That's not the conversation, but that's your comments. This one says, please tell Kojo to speak about facts, not to blame Mr. President, because we all know that the country was and what we're experiencing now. Samuel Opoku Jemfi, aka I'm not sure.
I thought he's going to supply those facts himself.
I'm not sure I get the. So say what you want to say.
Making reference to what the head of the NHI is saying, that they need funding because.
So please share your own opinion. It's like nurses.
Give us the alternative facts.
Okay, so we have to leave the messages here, but we will chat a lot more. So keep sending those messages to us. We'll have our football conversation. In the absence of anything else, we've done a lot of time this morning, so we have to say goodbye to all of ya. Get all of ya packing.